Coming up on episode 126 of Create If Writing, I'm sharing some inspiration for you to keep running.
I can't go back to sleep, it's almost light. These restless thoughts have kept me up again tonight.
Hello and welcome to Create If Writing. I'm your host, Kirsten Oliphant, and if you're wondering if this is a podcast about running, it's not even in the least. All you runners out there, I'm glad you're listening. I am not a runner, and we're not talking about that race. We are talking about the creative race, and it's not really a race because we're not competing, but I'll get to that in a second. I wanted to share this episode with you today just for some inspiration. I feel like I need these words myself sometimes, so I suspected that maybe some of you out there need them. If you are listening for the first time, hi, welcome. This is the place for you, a writer, blogger, or creative who wants to build an online platform without being smarmy. And I am so glad that you are here. New listeners, old listeners, I am just glad that you are listening, whether you're in the car or at the gym or in your house, or you have on headphones and your kids are running wild around your house, which I try sometimes. It doesn't usually work, but I do still sometimes try it. I'm so glad you're listening. This week, I'm not going to have show notes. Normally, I have blog post, epic length show notes for a lot of people who are in my audience who don't actually listen to podcasts. And also just if you want links and need some refreshers and to hear things in another way by reading, which isn't really hearing, but you know what I mean. So I'm not going to have show notes for today. Today is just words of encouragement for you listeners out there. So let's get to it. Today, I want to encourage you to keep running towards what it is that you love. And I want to encourage you to keep running even when people call you crazy, when the people in your life do not understand what it is that you are doing and why you are working so hard, or you're doing this thing and you've been doing it for years and you don't see the results you want and people don't understand. I want you to keep running. I want you to keep running even when you lose sleep. Now, sleep is important, and I know some of you out there are already ready to raise your fists and write comments in the Facebook group about this, but you need some sleep, yes, but there are going to be times when your passion makes you lose sleep. Maybe you're giving up a nap. Maybe you're giving up an hour in the morning or an hour at night. It may not be forever. It may just be for a time. Keep running even when you lose sleep. Keep running when it doesn't always make sense. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to other people. That's pretty common, but there are times for you where you're going to wonder, what am I doing? But there's that still small voice that says, keep going, keep going. Listen to that voice. Don't sit around thinking, does this totally make sense? Now, of course, if you're going broke doing what it is you love, then you do need to reevaluate whether or not it makes sense or how it can make sense for you. But there are going to be times where you're thinking you're just sacrificing a lot and you're not sure why. But in this creative world, sometimes we have to push through. We don't get to the fruits if we stop when it doesn't seem to make sense. Keep running when you can't not go. When you can't stay still, run. Don't try to hold yourself back. When you feel the stirring of that passion to create, to put words to the page, or take beautiful photographs, to make videos, to write books, whatever it is that you have that passion for, don't stop yourself. When you feel it rising up, let it out, give it space. For me, it's not always words. Sometimes it's singing. Surprise, many of you guys don't know that I sing. I used to write songs. Sometimes it's painting for me. I also like to paint. But whatever it is for you, maybe it's not always the one thing. Maybe you have a few things, but when you feel that drive, go. Just go. Don't hold it back. Don't bottle it up. Don't think about it. Let it out. I want to encourage you to keep running when you feel like it may never happen for you. Whatever that it is, the book deal that you really, really want, that page view number that you have found so elusive on your blog, the income level you've been really wanting to get to, the art show that you can't quite get into, the publication you've been submitting to and you just don't get in. When you feel like it's never going to happen, that you've been on this side waiting to get to the other side of that goal, just keep running. Just keep running. The time seems so much shorter when you're on the other side of it. And on this side, it can seem endless, but you won't ever get there if you stop. Keep running when you see other people succeed and you feel a little bit jealous. There are times where other people's success inspires us, and there are times where it becomes a little bit toxic, where we feel jealousy, we feel envy, we feel like maybe we deserve it more. We feel like, why is that person there? What about my thing? Compare them together. Maybe it should be me over there, and it's not me. You've got to keep running, especially fast away from this. Don't stay in that place wondering. Just keep going. Put the blinders on. Don't look around at those times where it's toxic to see other people succeed at the things you want. Just keep running. Keep running when you hit bumps in the road or a plateau or dip down into a valley or hit a wall. Okay. In real life, we can't keep running when you hit a wall. You're in a wall. But in your creative life, you've got to keep going, one foot in front of the other. Maybe it's feeling writer's block. Maybe it's feeling like you hate your current project. Maybe you need to switch projects for a little while till you get loosened up in the first one where you feel blocked. You need to show up. You need to put one foot in front of the other. Your speed won't always be the same. Your success won't always be the same. Your output won't always be consistent, but you've got to just go. Keep going when people pass judgment. There are going to be times when people aren't just not going to understand, where they're going to criticize you. People may say things like, I don't understand how you find the time. And you know what they're really saying is, you're spending time doing that when really you should be doing something else. You can hear it in their voice. Sometimes we make it up, but sometimes it's really there. And when it is, you've just got to keep going. It's another time to put on those blinders, put in the earplugs, and just run. Do not pause and sit and let that judgment and let those critical thoughts from other people who are not in your situation, who don't have your passion, who don't see the finish line that you are running towards. You can't let those people slow you down. You've got to go. But there's also a time and a place for rest. There's a time where you need to pause. And no one else can tell that to you. Maybe a spouse, maybe a close loved one who really knows you. Maybe they can suggest it. But even then, it's really got to come from you. It's a thing of wisdom to know when the time is that you need to rest. When you feel sad and just don't want to move, it may be time to rest. There's a time to mourn. There is a time to step back. There's a time to let your weary bones rejuvenate. And sometimes that's not through continuing the work. Again, you're the one who's going to have the wisdom to know when that moment is. Rest when your real life suffers for it. Yes, we will always have some suffering at the hands of creative work. I know I've lost sleep. I've lost all kinds of things. We have dirty dishes in the sink and a house full of clutter that I would really like to get done. But if I stop my creative work, I won't always get those things done. There's going to be some amount of suffering, but it's worth it right now. There comes a point where there's a suffering that isn't, and you need to step back. You need to pause and rest and reevaluate how you can keep running at a pace that does not make your real life suffer. Pause and rest when your relationships suffer. And again, I don't mean those critical people that you need to ignore and keep running past. You'll know when this happens. When your real life relationships suffer because of your creative work, it's time to rest. Maybe not completely. I don't mean stop. I mean rest until you can reevaluate, figure out what that balance or the tension looks like in your life to keep those relationships up. There's a time to rest and pause when you feel worn thin. And I think of Bilbo Baggins, who said that he felt thin like butter scraped across too much bread. And that's such an apt description. When you feel like butter scraped across too much bread, it's time to rest. I can't tell you what rest looks like for you. You can only know that for yourself in that moment. It may look different every time, but there's a time to rest, and you need to learn the wisdom to know the difference from when you need to run and when you need to rest. And when you rest, you're going to pause, and then you're going to keep on running. You have to start back up again. It may be a day, it may be a week, it may be a month. There are times where maybe it's years. Although I think our creative work suffers if we take that much time away. You know your life, your circumstances, you know yourself. Only you can answer that. But there is a time to run and there is a time to rest. And if you must, pivot, change directions, and keep running in a different way. I think sometimes pride keeps us from wanting to pivot because we think it's going to say something about ourselves when we publicly say, I'm not doing that anymore, I'm doing this. It seems like some kind of defeat. But it's really a wisdom, especially if you know that the best thing for you to run is to run into a different direction. All of this takes wisdom. It takes failure for us to figure these things out. We aren't going to just come out of the gate knowing when to rest, when to run, when to change directions and pivot. We have to get in there and get dirty and try it and mess up and see mistakes and learn and grow from them, so that the next time we're going to have more wisdom, we're going to have more experience to know the difference. Today, I was really feeling the need to share this with you guys. And I know this is totally different than my normal episode. So if you're new, typically we're a lot more practical here at Create If Writing. This is my once in a blue moon woo-woo episode for you guys. And I hope that it has met you just where you are. And if you need to, you can put a pin in it and come back on that time where you're feeling like butter scraped across too much bread. Come back and hear these words, and I hope that they encourage you. If you know another writer or creative who needs to hear these words, share the podcast with them. If you want to connect with me, you can do that by going to createifwriting.com/quick fix to get my weekly emails in your inbox. And if you want to connect with the whole community, you can go to createifwriting.com/community to meet up with the other wonderful creatives who are in the process of running and resting and pivoting right there alongside you for more encouragement, for more support. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I will be back next week with maybe something more concrete. For now, I hope you are in a place of running, and if not, rest up so you can run again.